land shows you glory, tells of who you are. It's the love of the Maker, shaping who we are. Because you hold the world inside of your hands, you can move mountains at your command. You hold the world inside of your hands, you can move mountains at your command. God of glory, you are wonderful, wonderful. Christ the mighty King of all the universe. You are holy, you are powerful, powerful. Lift our praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth. God of all the earth. Lift our praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth. You hold the world up, so we lift your praise up. You hold the world up, so we lift your praise up. You hold the world up, so we lift your praise up. You hold the world up, so we lift your praise up. God of glory, you are wonderful, wonderful. Christ the mighty King of all the universe. You are holy, you are powerful, powerful. Lift our praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth. God of all the earth. God of all the earth. Lift our praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth. Lift our praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth.
I spent so many summers trying to fit in, looking for some meaning in anything. I was feeling empty, Jesus, then you met me, you called my name. Burning like a fire, I just can't deny it, I found my place. Here with you, I'm right where I belong. Here with you, I'll never be alone. Here with you, here with you, here with you. I'm right where I belong. I'll never be alone. Here with you. Every day I'm learning to do it your way, do it your way. Giving up my life and I won't be afraid, I won't be afraid. You're the one who knows me, Jesus, you are showing me who I am. Part of something greater, home with you forever, I found my place. Here with you, I'm right where I
When I look back, I can see your hand all over my past. Even in the times I'd rather forget, I just can't believe you'd love me like that, love me like that. You never let go. Thought I was alone, now I know you were close. I can see it now, you were bringing me home. I just can't believe you'd love me like that, love me like that. Oh, every day gets better when I'm walking with you. Oh, you're my hope forever, what a beautiful view. I will give you praise for the things you've done, and every single way that you've shown me love. God, you have only just begun, so come on, there's so much better to come. So much better to come. So much better to come. When I look back, I can see your hand all over my past. Even in the times I'd rather forget, I just can't believe you'd love me like that, love me like that. You never let go. Thought I was alone, now I know you were close. I can see it now, you were bringing me home. I just can't believe you'd love me like that, love me like that. Oh, every day gets better when I'm walking with you. Oh, you're my hope forever, what a beautiful view. I will give you praise for the things you've done, and every single way that you've shown me love. God, you have only just begun, so come on, there's so much better to come. So much better to come. So much better to come. You never left me. You always helped me. Got through the fire. I find my strength when I'm walking beside you. You never left me. You always helped me. Got through the fire. I find my strength when I'm walking beside you. I will give you praise for the things you've done, and every single way that you've shown me love. God, you have only just begun, so come on, there's so much better to come. So much better to come. There's so much better to come. I'm so grateful for your patience, all the ways you carry me. You have always left a light on, so I can see you wait for me.
I'm invited to the table. You are saving me a seat. In your house, I know I'm worthy, 'cause you died for me. You set me free.
No matter where I run, grace will follow. The Father's love is all I know. I never need to doubt that you want me. You are standing here saying, welcome home. Welcome home. No matter where I run, grace will follow. The Father's love is all I know. I never need to doubt that you want me. You are standing here saying, welcome home.
I'm so thankful for your kindness. Your forgiveness when I'm weak. With open arms, I am accepted. As you run to me, you cover me. I forever run toward the one who calls me home. Everything I'm longing for is in you. You have
Hey everyone, it's our favourite day,
It
Church
is.
at Home Day.
Ooh, Sundays, best days. Big. Welcome. Although technically every day is Church at Home Day.
That is true.
It's online,
Yep.
on demand, the streaming service near you. If your streaming service is
It's just YouTube. Yeah.
YouTube is the way. Anywho, welcome everybody. And if it's your first time that you're joining us, even bigger hello.
Hey.
A huge
The biggest
hello.
of hellos.
Yeah, we are so grateful that you've come. So great to have you here with us. We're going to have fun.
It's true. And if you're thinking you might like to check out what else is happening around Gateway, there is so much to get involved with.
Yeah.
If you're in the area, we've got life groups.
The local vicinity.
Yeah, around here. Life
groups are
groups
big.
all over the place, different people's homes, happen throughout the week.
They do.
There's active ministry where you can move with us in all the different ways.
Yeah.
Lots of options there.
Heaps.
Play groups for little ones and their carers, which is amazing.
Cute.
So many different ways that you can get involved, and you can do that by clicking and connect with us at the link. It's a good time.
Connect with us. Yes.
Do it.
It's the best. Speaking of fun, we had a ping competition a few weekends back.
Yes, an active ministry thing, wasn't it?
Oh,
Right?
Yes. Active ministry. It was in the active hub. We played ping pong, technically table tennis rules.
Yeah.
People dressed in their 90s gear. They just enjoyed some good old-fashioned table tennis, some healthy combat.
Nice. I see what you did there. Yeah.
There. Anyway, it was such a hit.
There's another one.
Yeah, so we're going to keep it going. So the last Wednesday of every month, 7 till 9, we're going to have pizza and ping night. So come hang out in the active hub with the active crew, play some ping pong, some table tennis, whatever, eat some pizza, because why not?
Sounds amazing.
It is.
To be
it
honest,
is.
Josh had such a good time at Ping that he came home and was like, we've got to go to table tennis table. So thanks very much for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an
That is
expensive,
good.
it was an expensive day.
Oh, now I'm not looking forward to taking him on the last
Yeah, he's
episode
going to get
this
some
month.
serious practice in. Yeah.
Jeez. Well, he's the person to beat.
No.
If you're keen to challenge
Just
Virgo,
Burgess.
yeah, head to the.
I'm pretty sure everyone is.
You can try. you get like a whole pizza to yourself. If
You know,
you can beat Virgo.
Back in the day, we used to have a table tennis table, and he and Ricky and a bunch of others, and like the youth kids used to play a game called Sting Pong, which is where they would, like, if you lost, you had to hold up your shirt and the other person got to hit it at you as like the ball you as hard as they could, and then they would come out with welts. But they had the best time.
That sounds like so much
Speaking
fun.
of extreme craziness.
If you're
which
keen
that
for that
is.
though, head to the events in the app for more info if you want to come and get potentially Sting Pong by Virgo.
Yeah, probably not Sting Pong, just the regular.
Or just pizza
regular
and a
kind.
good time.
But crazy times.
Speaking of like up
That
here levels
level
of excitement.
ridiculousness. Camp No Fear is happening again this January. Good job.
Hope you all did that.
Yes.
At home.
Oh, yes. You have to scream when you
Good.
say Camp No Fear.
Camp No Fear, yes.
You know,
Technically can't no fear. What?
that is the actual name.
Yeah.
I've missed it so much. It's
Oh.
been 2 years since we've had camp, and
Long.
I'm hanging to get back there.
Yeah.
What's your favourite thing about camp?
Oh my gosh. So many things. My favorite thing about camp is like seeing kids on the first day come along and they're all sort of like, oh, I don't really know many people.
Yeah.
And then like day 2, they're like, pew, pew, and run around the campsite, they're covered in mud.
life, yeah.
And like day 3, they're just like, they've got this like solid group of cabin.
Know everyone.
Yeah.
Life,
Yeah. Having an experience of a lifetime.
Oh, it's the best.
Seeing like over 3 days, like a month's worth of
Yeah.
like emotional progress.
It's so true.
What's yours? What's your favorite?
Oh, look, all of that. But you know what? For me, like, apart just on a selfish front, I just love going and having ridiculous, stupid fun, like doing stuff that you would never
Yeah.
do in regular life. Like, it's
True.
just an excuse to go and be a big kid again,
Yeah.
and like love and encourage teenagers and you know, see them have an awesome
Yeah,
fun.
100%.
You also kind of get to be a kid again as well. It's
True.
It's the best.
True.
So actually, we just had, speaking of the best, we just had the camp launch
We
this
did.
Friday, and
was
it
big.
was so amazing.
It was-
We got a reminder of just how insanely good this camp is, didn't we? And so if you're a young person, or you know of a young person, or you want to feel like a young person, you become as a leader, who needs to be there, it will never be cheaper than it is for the next 2 weeks only. So I've got a discount code for you. You ready? Here it is. It's really original. Early 23.
Or lowercase 23.
Case. That's the code, and that will stay active until the 11th of September. So you've got 2 Sundays. It's 2 Sundays time.
Yeah.
Get on it.
Early 23.
Trust me, you do not want to miss out.
100%.
You can start a payment plan if you want, if that's an easier way to do it.
Yep.
Whatever you've got to do to lock in that cheap price, do it.
Lock it in, Eddie.
Even lock in you know what? Go, I don't even know who I'm going to invite, but buy a place.
Yeah.
Get it in and then figure out who you're going to bring.
Yeah.
Because
Figure out the details of who you're buying it for later.
exactly.
Yeah.
They will love it. Whoever
Be
it
big.
is.
Also, how can we be praying for you this week? What's happening in your world that you would like some support for? Could be big, could be small, doesn't matter. We have a team of people who love praying, just ready to lift you up in prayer. So click that Get Prayer via the link or go to our app.
Yep.
And pray through there.
Amazing.
Wherever it is, we'd love to pray for you.
How amazing is it, Jacob?
It is
That-
amazing. Whatever you're
I mean,
about
that
to
is
say.
amazing.
I'm preemptively saying whatever you're about to say is amazing.
And you're right. It
Yeah,
is.
she has a track record for
Just
when
amazing.
something's amazing, generally is.
Wow, it would be awful if it was like an anticlimax.
No pressure.
Don't worry, it's not, because our church is amazing. Look, it's been so awesome to see how our church can help house the homeless
That is
throughout
amazing.
winter and provide care packs and meals for those who are in need.
Yeah.
We've run an amazing youth program where
Yeah.
hundreds of youth are being encouraged week in, week
Yeah.
out. You know, there's so much goodness
Yeah.
happening through this place. And that's only the tip of the iceberg of what we're involved in and how we are bringing light into this community. So, you know, this all happens because of your generosity.
Yeah.
So thank you to everyone who gives regularly, because we literally couldn't do it without you.
True.
And if you'd like to give today and be a part of that, if you'd like to help the church to bring hope and light into this community, you can do that via the details or through the app.
You can. That is amazing.
I know, right?
The amazing thing is you.
Yeah.
Your generosity is amazing.
You're amazing.
So good. Well, today, Mark Ansell is sharing what God has laid on his heart about the prodigal son. Really excited to hear it. He always brings us like a fresh something.
Yeah.
Something that you think that you're familiar with.
Yes, you're
and then
right.
you listen to it and you're like, oh, wow, that's a good spin.
You know what I'm going to call it? It's going to be amazing.
Oh, big.
There
big
it is.
call.
You
You
heard
know
it
what
here
it's,
first.
you know what it's going to be. Yeah. But first, let's listen to some amazing worship.
Amazing.
Mushing worship.
There's a song that stirs the spirit, and it calls the heart to life. It's an anthem in the making. Can you feel it start to rise? Can you hear the generations getting louder over time? Every son and every daughter singing out into the night. It's not time to be silent. Don't you dare hide your light. There's a world outside your window, so don't let it pass you by. Lift your hands to the heavens. Lift your voice to the sky. Praise the Lord of all creation. Let his name be lifted high. Singing. See the lost return from the dead of the night. Every captive free, every chain left behind. Have you ever seen such a beautiful sight? All the world coming alive. See the world light up, one heart at a time. See the strongholds break in the blink of an eye. Death and all I see, nowhere inside. For the Lord, He is alive. See the lost return from the dead of the night. Every captive free, every chain left behind. Have you ever seen such a beautiful sight? All the world coming alive. It's not time to be silent. Don't you dare hide your light. There's a world outside your window, so don't let it pass you by. Lift your hands to the heavens, lift your voice to the skies. Praise the Lord of all creation. Let His name be lifted high. I close my eyes and colors fly. There's no hiding from your grace. I can't deny your heart for mine, and its unrelenting chase. I was on the edge of deception, caught up in my own hesitation, until your love took over me. Whoa. So I let go and I let love show me life like it's supposed to be. An oasis, it awakes us, all the freedom I'll ever need. Now I'm alive. Oh la la, oh la la. When I let go, then I find life. Oh la la, oh la la. When I let go, then I'll find life. La 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 la. When I let go, then I'll find life. The higher way is calling me to a life unlike before. The Father's heart is beckoning, and I can't resist no more. Lead me in the ways of devotion. Don't wanna get caught in the motions. My heart is only for you, Lord. Whoa. So I let go and I let love show me life like it's supposed to be. An oasis, it awaits us, all the freedom I'll ever need. Now I'm alive. Oh la la, oh la la. When I let go, then I'll find life. Oh la la, oh la la. When I let go, then I'll find life. La 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 la. When I let go, then I'll find life. So I let go and I let love show me life like it's supposed to be. An oasis, here awaits us, all the freedom I'll ever need. Now I'm alive. When I let go, then I'll find life. When I let go, then I'll find life.
Hi. In this week's message notes, many of you recognise this well-known and much-loved parable, which represents the unconditional, grace-filled love of God towards each of us. Some of you know it as the prodigal son. I like to call it the parable of the two lost sons. So as you scan through this week's part one of the parable, you well know that the first son yells, "Entitlement!" grabs a huge chunk of his dad's superannuation, gives his dad the bird on the way out, blows it all, ends up in a pickle, and sheepishly heads back home. And you also well know that before, during, and after his misadventure, he was always unconditionally loved by his father. He hadn't earned it or paid for his dad's unconditional love. It was an ongoing gift. It could never be taken away that he was his father's son and deeply loved. The Apostle Paul writes that living faith is a gift of God. He reminded the Christians at Ephesus of this incredible fact. Paul said, "For it is by grace you've been saved through faith, and this is not from yourselves. It's the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast." So faith is a gift, but trusting in God and having beliefs about God are not always the same. Faith is a gift, beliefs are not. Forming beliefs takes time and is often hard work. Distinguishing faith from beliefs is critical. You can have the right beliefs, but still not have received God's gift of living faith, the gift of fully trusting in Him. The demons had accurate beliefs about Jesus. They believed that Jesus was the Son of God, that Jesus had power, and that Jesus was from God, but they would not submit to his lordship. But when we've received the gift of a saving, living faith, we have a growing desire to embrace right beliefs about God as we mature in our faith walk. So right beliefs matter greatly because what we believe about God directly determines whether we place our ongoing trust in God as we daily live out the front half of our eternity. Right beliefs matter. And in this parable, I can see how this lost son, who knew he was loved by his father, still had to go through 3 stages to get to where he was always meant to end up. And in our contemporary culture, each of us has either already or is in the middle of or is yet to work through the same 3 stages. This is a timeless but crucial process. The first stage, the construction stage. It's those preliminary steps that the youngest son would have taken on his life journey. During his construction stage, he would have accepted the basic structures of belief that are accepted and established as to how the farm was operated, how his family of origin operated, how his church operated, how his father operated, and so on. And one of the distinguishing features of the son's construction experience would have been the acceptance of beliefs pre-critically. This is a bit like when a baby is learning a language. A child will first use the language they hear their parents use. And that's not a bad thing. It's very helpful when you're wanting your nappy changed. This construction stage is also what happens when we start our faith journey in following Jesus. We believe what we are told and see modelled by those a bit further along the journey. I did not come from a Christian heritage. So when I started out on my faith journey, it was suggested to me to read my Bible daily, get along to weekly corporate worship, and be generous with my time, talent, and treasure along the way. So that's what I did. I followed these passed on beliefs pre-critically in the early years of my spiritual formation. The wonderful aspect of the construction phase in anyone's early stages of their faith journey is the trusting vulnerability towards God and other Christ followers as they receive true and trustworthy Christ-focused beliefs. For example, on a construction site, it's vital to know which are the load-bearing walls? Which are the walls that are engineered to take excessive amounts of load-bearing weight? Which are the load-bearing walls that support the whole structure? In this recording studio, to my right, I know is a load-bearing wall. So in this commercial building, it takes the full weight of the structure above it. Behind me in the studio is a load-bearing wall. It supports so much of the weight of this structure. Now, to my left is just a partition wall. It's basically plaster and pine. It's not built to take any weight. It would just fall apart if it had any weight put on it. It's vital to know which set of Christian beliefs are load-bearing. These load-bearing beliefs have stood over the centuries, beyond persecution, beyond fads, and beyond governments of various persuasions. Some of the load-bearing beliefs I was exposed to in my construction stage included that Jesus is God in the flesh, that salvation from my sins is a gift of grace from God, that we are all equally valuable in God's sight, that there is no such thing as a lesser person or a lesser nationality or race. Even Collingwood supporters have some small value, very small. But the construction stage can also be a disaster. As we go on in life, we discover that the pre-critical reception of good beliefs can also make space for the uncritical reception of bad beliefs. Good soil not only grows healthy plants, but it also has the capacity to grow weeds too. So, in my early formative years as a young believer, some of the weed-bearing beliefs I encountered included that women have no place in any leadership structure within a church, that miracles were only for the early church times and don't happen today, that teaching about the Holy Spirit was to be minimised, otherwise weird things would begin to happen. So we can accept beliefs about how God operates that are good, but because we are humans led by humans, we often receive beliefs that can betray who God is too. So the youngest lost son would have all these belief inputs swirling around as he moved towards deciding what pathway he was wanting to follow. He was accumulating various beliefs in his construction phase, just as we must do all these centuries later. It's a part of our life cycle that is appropriate and necessary for us if we are to mature and flourish within our Western suburban context as Christ followers. So stage one is construction. Stage two is deconstruction. Deconstruction is simply the dismantling of anything that's been constructed. Deconstruction is simply the dismantling of anything that's been constructed. Such as a building, it's the pulling down of a building to create space for something new. Think about cooking, it's me using my hammer to smash a bag of cashews into a fine mix to be blended into my famous Penang curry creation. Think about Lego. It's when our kids pull down their Lego to create something new. Think about beliefs. It's the process of dismantling one's pre-critically accepted beliefs. It's like pulling off part of a damp wall to see what's happening with the plumbing behind it. We usually begin having a closer look at how we thought God works, our beliefs, when we come across things in our lives that knock us onto our bum. For example, loss of a spouse, a divorce, a 3-winter pandemic, the death of a family member or close friend, a job loss, being hurt by your church, failing a major exam or botching a key job interview. This is often when we begin to reevaluate those earlier pre-critically received beliefs. You've now begun to experience some internal turbulence when you thought your faith flight would be comfortable and predictable. So on the one hand, we can live in the reality of a living relationship with Jesus through what Paul describes as a gift of God. But we can also realise that part of our pre-critically accepted belief structure may go against that message of grace. For example, if there's racism or sexism in the mix somewhere. A great writer called A.J. Swoboda points out that deconstruction is a double-edged sword. It can edify our faith by helping us to critically rethink wrong beliefs, but it can also go too far and bring our faith to nothing. Any belief we uncritically received at some point that remains hostile or opposed to the biblical message of Jesus Christ needs to be deconstructed, as I mentioned, such as racism or sexism. But the minute deconstruction undermines the gospel, our faith, or the Bible, we've deconstructed too much, says Swoboda. There's a world of difference between deconstructing wrong beliefs and deconstructing the faith. Just as there's a difference between remodelling a room in our home and tearing down the house. Distinguishing between the two is essential. One is intellectual repentance and the other is faith destruction. In fact, a true and living faith, such as knowing we're saved by God's gift of grace, will often require us to undertake some type of deconstruction of our beliefs. And when I let my imagination widen a bit, I suggest that maybe when the lost son was standing knee-high in pig's poo, feeling totally lost and in a dark place, having energetically deconstructed most of the beliefs he had pre-critically accepted in his construction stage, he was in that soul-shrivelling mindset that Swoboda writes about when he says, sadly, what often begins as a humble desire to believe rightly ferments into an all-out resentment, even hatred of the family of origin or Christian community or Christian identity that nurtured those beliefs. He says the hatred slowly turns inward. Resentment for others becomes hatred of self for having ever accepted said beliefs. So this youngest lost son has moved on from his construction stage and is currently in his deconstruction stage, feeling dark and lost and overwhelmed. Yet at that very point, his reconstruction stage begins. While he was standing there with the pig's poo oozing over his ankles into his expensive runners, he begins to think about what beliefs he had thrown out or walked away from, and what beliefs he needs to revisit again. We read there in that passage that he came to his senses. Another version says he began to think about what he'd done. His reconstruction stage had begun. He rethinks about some of the tried and tested and truthful beliefs as to how the farm was operated, how his family of origin operated, how his church operated, how his father operated and unconditionally loved him, and so on. He begins to have clarity that just because he'd rejected some unhealthy beliefs doesn't mean that he must also walk away from the healthy, life-giving, load-bearing beliefs that had provided the nourishment for his soul that he had now been mistakenly searching for in the distant country. Thomas Oden writes, the prodigal son had to try out every wrong path in a far country before he found the right path home. Only after his testing of futile ways was he ready to come home. So the lost son shakes the pig's poo off his expensive runners, turns his gaze towards home, and begins his journey of reconstruction, squelching as he walks along, with a million flies hanging off him. As an old saying goes, A journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step, but the first step must be in the right direction. Let me make one suggestion to some of you who may be stuck in that distant country and you are battling with that inner turbulence of taking your first step out of your deconstruction stage towards your reconstruction destination. Here's my suggestion. Be rigorously honest with yourself about your motivation for your deconstruction stage. Is your deconstruction stage simply a facade or a smokescreen for other unspoken issues or personal goals? As a dad, is it because you've carried deep hurts and disappointments with your dad? So you've ended up with a hardened heart. As a dad, your heart's nursed many bruises from your dad, and now it's becoming calcified. And you know deep down, for the sake of your family, it's time for you to step into your reconstruction stage. For some of you, your goal may be to live a lifestyle that matches your social media image that you have carefully crafted. For some of you, your goal may be to focus your worship on your career, your possessions, your AFL team, or even to worship your kids. For some of you, your goal may be to push your parents' red button just to get back at them. For some of you, your deconstruction stage is because you really want to know Jesus Christ and fully embrace the eternal, load-bearing beliefs that he was prepared to die for. For example, he believed that you are of immense value and worth dying on the cross for. I suggest the lost son had gone through this rigorous, honest self-examination, and then he took his first step in the right direction, towards home. As we read there in the passage, while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him and kissed him. Another version says, when he was still a long way off, his father saw him, his heart pounding. He ran out, embraced him and kissed him. Don't ever think God is distant and unemotional. When he looks at you, regardless of which of the three stages you are in or bouncing back and forth between, his heart begins pounding. That's how precious you are to him. King David experienced this too. Your beauty and love chase after me every day of my life. I'm back home in the house of God for the rest of my life. He is our load-bearing, heart-pounding God. Thus ends part 1. Next week, in part 2, we look at the other lost son, hard-working, loyal, but still lost. See you then.
I've carried a burden for too long on my own. I wasn't created to bear it alone. I hear your invitation to let it all go. Yeah, I see it now, I'm laying it down, and I know that I need you. I run to the Father, I fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon is running to life from death, and I feel this rush deep in my chest. Your mercy is calling out, just as I am. You pull me in, and I know I need you now. I run to the Father, fall in the grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon, my soul needs a friend. So I'll run to the Father again and again. I run to the Father, fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. And my heart found a surgeon, my soul found a friend. So I'll run to the Father again and again and again and again. Oh, again and
Love that. Love it. Such a good message from Mark. I always love it when he speaks because he's such a good storyteller.
Yeah, he is a yeah.
Cozy up by the fire and
There's always a relevant story. I wonder if Mark just does things just so he's got a good story to tell on Sunday.
oh,
Maybe.
you make a story out of anything.
It's true.
We've got to get him to come along to the Wednesday night ping and see how he tells the story of
Yes.
the night.
Yes.
We started. There was tables. Anyway,
Tennis. Anyway, we're really looking forward to seeing part 2 next week. So make sure that you tune in because you're not going to want to miss it.
look, this is the last sip of coffee.
Oh, okay, ready? It's cold.
It is cold. It is cold from the message. But we'll see you next Sunday at 10 a.m. for church at home. Fresh coffees in hand.
When I look back, I can see your hand all over my past. Even in the times I'd rather forget, I just can't believe you'd love me like that, love me like that. You never let go. Thought I was alone, now I know you were close. I can see it now, you were bringing me home. I just can't believe you'd love me like that, love me like that. Oh, every day gets better when I'm walking with you. Oh, you're my hope forever, what a beautiful view. I will give you praise for the things you've done, and every single way that you've shown me love. God, you have only just begun, so come on, there's so much better to come. So much better to come. beside you. You never left me. You always helped me.